All exits of the office building were sealed with metal plates. 80 employees were trapped inside. They naively thought this was just an evacuation drill. Suddenly, a strange voice came through the intercom. The voice issued a task demanding they kill 2 people within half an hour. Otherwise, 4 random people would die. The employees were completely stunned. They had no idea what was happening. Some began to panic, while others thought it was just a prank. But they knew they had to do something. Everyone gathered in the lobby on the first floor. They started discussing ways to get out. Mike asked Bud and Lonnie to use a welding torch to cut a hole in the metal plate. They agreed to give it a try. Barry then tried to calm everyone down. He explained that the metal plates were a security measure for this government building. Hackers might have discovered these functions and were pulling a prank, so they needed to wait patiently to avoid any accidents. Some people went to the roof trying to get help from the outside. Since the building was in a remote location, they couldn't reach anyone for help. Down in the lobby, Bud and Lonnie were using the welding torch on the metal plate, but it had no effect whatsoever. This metal was beyond anything they'd seen before. Meanwhile, the people on the roof spotted a guard on duty, but when the guard saw them, he just turned his head away. They felt both disappointed and angry. Just then, Marty urged everyone not to panic too much. He figured this was obviously some kind of psychological test from upper management. He thought his calmness had won him the test. He started fantasizing about promotions and raises. Suddenly, a female employee's head exploded and she died. The same thing happened in the first floor lobby. 3 employees' heads exploded. In an instant, everyone fell into panic. But Barry noticed something unusual. He was shocked to discover that these people hadn't been shot. They had self-destructed. The company had implanted a chip in their brains. They thought it was to improve work efficiency. They never imagined it would cost them their lives. Mike rushed to the cafeteria and grabbed a small knife. Then he locked himself in the bathroom. He tried to remove the chip from his head. But then the voice over the intercom came on. It warned Mike to stop or his head would explode in 10 seconds. At the last second, Mike gave up. While Mike was receiving treatment, the broadcast voice came on again. It reminded everyone that this was a real killing game. It also issued a second task. They needed to kill 30 people within 2 hours. Otherwise, 60 random people would die. Everyone instantly panicked. They didn't dare take it lightly anymore. Some people lost their minds. They grabbed weapons, preparing to attack or defend. Others kept their composure. They tried to persuade everyone to stay rational. The scene descended into chaos. Fortunately, Barry, as the boss, appeared in time. He stopped the conflict from escalating further. Marty triggered the building's fire alarm thinking it would bring the fire department. But the alarm wasn't connected to the outside fire station. Down in the basement, Lonnie heard the alarm. He started having an emotional breakdown. Bud tried to comfort him, but Lonnie didn't trust Bud. He thought Bud wanted to kill him. So in his agitated state, Lonnie hit Bud hard with a wrench. Bud died quickly. Lonnie completely lost his mind. He began actively attacking Danny. Danny pushed him away with all her strength. Lonnie accidentally hit his head on a metal block and died on the spot. Upstairs, Barry calmed everyone down again. They all discussed their options together. Barry proposed a brutal plan. He believed they should select 30 people to sacrifice. It was their only choice. But Mike argued there should be no killing at all. They had no right to decide who lived or died. And even if 30 people were sacrificed, the game wouldn't end. Leandra interrupted the argument. She suggested making a visible banner and hanging it on the roof. If any passing vehicles noticed it, they might get rescued. Most people agreed with this idea. They followed Leandra and left. Barry didn't agree with Leandra's approach. He thought it was completely useless. He recruited a few supporters and proposed another plan. Barry began forcibly prying open the weapons vault door. But Mike and others discovered this in time. They urged Barry to stop, but Barry ignored them completely. So security guard Evans pulled out a handgun and threatened them. Mike immediately told him to calm down. Then Mike shot the welding torch's gas line. Now Barry's plan was ruined. Later, with everyone's efforts, a huge banner was completed. They immediately went to the roof trying to hang it up. But the soldiers outside opened fire directly. One employee's hand was injured. At that moment, the voice came over the intercom. It reminded them that hanging the banner was against the rules. But Mike didn't give up. He wanted to try one more time. Everyone quickly pulled the emotional Mike back. This attempt ended in failure. Several employees were injured. Mike felt defeated. Later, Mike suspected the government was behind this. They enjoyed extremely high benefits at the company. But no one paid attention to the actual work intensity. The building was also very remote. It seemed like everything was designed for some purpose. A few of them chatted as they headed downstairs. Suddenly, Mike was knocked down the stairs by a heavy blow. It turned out Barry had come with his men for revenge. He demanded Evans hand over the keys to the weapons vault. But Evans threw the keys away. The vicious Dex beat Evans to death. Leandra immediately immediately accused Dex of using violence. Dex got even more agitated. He wanted to kill Leandra, but Barry stopped him. They had more important things to do now. Barry found the keys at the bottom of the stairs and opened the weapons vault. They began searching the building for everyone. Soon, survivors were forcibly brought to the first-floor lobby. This included Mike, who had just woken up. Only Danny, secretly hiding in a corner, escaped their search. Everyone in the lobby waited for Barry's judgment. He was preparing to select 30 people to complete the task. The selection rules were simple. People over 60 years old were the only criteria. But the numbers were still far from enough. He started randomly selecting people, but he chose Mike first. This was obviously Barry's revenge. Soon, someone tried to resist Barry's control but was shot dead by Dex on the spot. All the employees could only wait for Barry's judgment. One female employee completely broke down. She cursed Barry, calling him a demon. Barry shot her head off. Then Barry ordered his men to turn on music to drown out the screams. He began shooting the selected people. Hiding in the shadows, Danny heard the gunshots. She cautiously came to the first-floor lobby to check. She discovered a horrific massacre. To prevent the tragedy from continuing, Danny immediately cut the power. In an instant, the lobby went dark. The employees seized the opportunity and scattered. Barry and his men could only fire blindly. Chaos and panic engulfed the entire place. Suddenly, the voice came over the intercom with a reminder. They still needed one more person to complete the task, but only 2 minutes remained. Leandra, hiding in the office, realized Barry's man Terry was chasing her. She took off her shoe as a decoy and hid under a desk waiting for her chance. When Terry approached, Leandra ambushed him from behind. She raised a cleaver to kill Terry, but Terry knelt down and desperately begged for mercy. Leandra hesitated for a moment. Just then, the voice came over the intercom. Their task wasn't completed. The death count was still only 29 people. Now 31 people had to die. Explosions instantly filled the entire building. They could only wait for fate's judgment. When the explosion stopped, only 16 employees remained in the building. But they felt no joy whatsoever, because an even more terrifying task had arrived. In 1 hour, the person with the most kills would be the one to walk out alive. Barry's men went completely insane. They killed anyone they saw. Since they had the numbers from before, they had a good chance of getting out alive. A secretary tried to offer her body to join Barry's team, but Barry just snapped her neck. Then Barry took the elevator to continue hunting. When he pressed the elevator button, he discovered Danny and Roberto on top of the elevator. Danny immediately jumped off the elevator roof, but Roberto reacted too slowly. He was crushed by the rising elevator. The elevator got stuck. Barry was trapped inside. Meanwhile, Leandra was cautiously checking around with Terry's handgun. When passing through the first-floor lobby, she ran into Marty and his friend. They were collecting explosive chips. Enough explosive chips might blow open a passage. Leandra agreed with their plan and joined in. When the three of them entered the kitchen, Dex was violently killing an employee. He had become even more insane. Leandra fired first but only wounded his leg. Dex fell to the ground and fired back, killing Marty and his friend instantly. Leandra was furious. She threw the defensive table onto Dex and then picked up an axe and struck wildly. Mike and the waitress, who had been hiding, came to the lobby. Mike happened to see Leandra. The two embraced and cried. Mike decided to adopt Marty's suggestion, and stuffed the collected explosive chips into his pocket. In the elevator, Barry used a crowbar to pry open the elevator door. Meanwhile, Danny carefully made her way through the elevator shaft. But just as she reached another floor, Barry immediately opened the elevator door and shot at Danny. In the first-floor lobby, Vince suddenly charged over. He threw a homemade Molotov cocktail at the waitress. The waitress was quickly burned to death. Mike and Leandra started running upstairs, but they encountered Barry. Barry chased them back down to the first floor. As Vince prepared to throw another Molotov cocktail, Barry shot him dead. Mike and Leandra took the opportunity to hide, but Mike discovered Leandra had been shot. Mike encouraged Leandra to hang on. He would definitely get her out. But after Leandra said she loved Mike very much, she stopped breathing. Mike was furious beyond measure. When Barry walked into the room, Mike lunged at him. He attacked Barry savagely. Mike gave it everything he had. He finally ended Barry's life using a tape dispenser. Mike won the game. Then two soldiers escorted Mike out of the building. Mike finally met the mastermind behind it all. The mastermind explained that they were a famous research center. The government allowed them to use extreme methods to study human behavior. The game was over. They interviewed Mike about how he felt at that moment. Mike saw a row of control switches with employees' names on them. Mike showed a sinister smile. He had secretly placed explosive chips on the soldiers. Mike quickly flipped the control switches. Several soldiers instantly fell to the ground. Then Mike grabbed a weapon and wildly fired at the mastermind. Afterward, Mike left the building. But the voice came over the intercom again. It announced that Phase 1 had ended. Phase 2 was now beginning. As it turned out, the game wasn't over. He appeared on the surveillance monitor again.